Pay attention to the little girl in the blue shirt. To someone walking by, this might look like a normal interaction while they're stopping at a gas station with his daughter and buying her a drink. But notice how she is keeping her distance from the man, crossing her arms, and avoiding eye contact with him. Behind this security footage is a disturbing secret. She calls this man Dad, but he is not her father.
The story of Shasta Groene is one of unimaginable horror and incredible resilience. It's a case that rocked the small town of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho in 2005. This town continues to resonate with its themes of survival and the strength of the human spirit. Brenda K. Groene, born on March 3, 1965 in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, was the eldest of 4 girls raised by her mother, Darlene Torres. Coeur d'Alene, the largest city in North Idaho, experienced a substantial population growth in the 1990s, driven by a surge in tourism. Surrounded by picturesque lakes, the city boasts several resorts and golf courses. With a crime rate consistently below the state average, Coeur d'Alene was widely regarded as a highly secure environment for raising families. Brenda married blues musician Stephen Groene in 1986, and together they had 5 children: Vance, Jesse, Slade, Dylan, and their youngest, Shasta, born in 2001. However, the couple divorced in 2001, leading to the children splitting up. Vance and Jesse opted to live with their father, while the 3 youngest remained with Brenda. They resided at Wolf Lodge, the childhood home of Brenda and her sisters. Brenda's first son, Slade Vincent, born on March 29, 1992, epitomized the typical teenage experience. As he entered his adolescent years, he developed an interest in girls and sought independence from his family. Despite these changes, he maintained his cheerful demeanor and shared his father's passion for music. Dylan James, born on July 16, 1995, was the youngest boy in the family. Initially a bit shy, he blossomed into a sweet and affectionate child, earning the nickname Teddy Bear from Brenda due to his love for snuggling. Shasta Ray, the youngest and only girl among the Groene children, completed the family. Following her divorce, Brenda embarked on a relationship with an old friend named Mark McKenzie. Described by a friend as reminiscent of Yosemite Sam, Mark grew up around Wolf Lodge and was known for his kindness. He treated Brenda and her children with care, eventually moving in with them after 4 years of dating. Initially, it seemed Brenda had found happiness with Mark, who embraced her and her children as his own. However, everything took a turn in the spring of 2005. On a Monday morning in May 2005, Bob Hollingsworth made his way across his property towards the Slade's house. A few days earlier, Slade had asked Bob if he had any extra money, to which Bob proposed paying him for cutting his grass. Agreeing to the deal, Slade had completed the yard work, prompting Bob to head over to Slade's house to settle the payment. However, upon arrival, Bob noticed that the back door was left open. Despite calling out, he received no response. Approaching cautiously, Bob was met with a disturbing sight. The walls and floor were smeared with blood. Alarmed, Bob wasted no time and immediately dialed 911.
I went to the door to pay the little kid $10 for mowing the lawn, and there's blood all over the door. Nobody comes through the door.
Shasta Groene was an 8-year-old girl living in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho with her family. On May 16, 2005, her life was shattered when Joseph Duncan III, then 42, invaded her home. He brutally murdered her mother, her stepfather, and her teenage brother. Afterwards, he kidnapped Shasta and her 9-year-old brother Dylan. The 3 bodies bore unmistakable signs of a brutal assault. Slade, age 13, lay on the floor with his arms taped and zip-tied behind his back, his mouth covered with duct tape. His severely injured head rested at his mother's feet. Brenda, 40 years old, shared the same binding as her son with comparable head injuries. Mark, 37, was similarly restrained and positioned with his feet near Brenda's head. Two young children, Dylan and Shasta, were missing. The detectives searched the house but couldn't find them. They found some guns owned by Brenda and Mark, but none of them are missing. This didn't seem like a robbery. Investigators questioned Steve, the father of the children, but he was not with them. They also reached out to friends, neighbors, and anyone familiar with the family, but none of them had seen the two youngest children. Dispatched search teams swiftly canvassed the vicinity of Wolf Lodge, hopeful that the children might have fled during the incident and were in hiding. The search extended to nearby bodies of water, wooded areas, and fields accompanied by horses and dogs, yet yielded no traces of Dylan and Shasta. Meanwhile, ongoing ground searches persisted as investigators meticulously examined the murder scene at the Groene house. The coroner's assessment, based on the victim's body temperature, concluded they had been deceased for less than 24 hours, attributing their deaths to bludgeoning and blunt force trauma to the head. When there was no sight of the two missing kids, the local police asked for help from the Idaho State Police and the FBI. An Amber Alert was issued to help locate the missing children.
We have a homicide scene with one adult male, one adult female, and one juvenile male. Our main concern right now are the two children we cannot find.
The siblings were held captive at a secluded campsite within Montana's Lolo National Forest and subjected to unimaginable horrors for a grueling period of approximately 2 months. Joseph subjected them to repeated sexual and physical assaults, leaving deep scars that would never heal. In a final act of depravity, the kidnapper callously murdered Dylan, shooting him in cold blood while his sister Shasta was forced to bear witness to the heinous crime. He also hurt Shasta emotionally.
He grabbed the hammer. He said, "See this hammer? This is the hammer that I murdered your mom and your stepdad and your brother with." And he was like, "They're not alive and you're never going to see them again."
Joseph threatened to kill her, but somehow Shasta controlled him with her words.
I would ask Joseph Duncan questions about his life, would ask him about his family, and ask questions like, could I meet them one day? And
it was a conscious thing, like, I need to make him think that I love him or that I want to be here with him.
She even calls him by his nickname, Jet.
I had worked up enough breath to say, "Please don't, Jet."
6 weeks later, in July, 8-year-old Shasta Groene was spotted at the Denny's restaurant in Coeur d'Alene with her family's killer, Joseph Duncan.
I think that looks like Shasta a lot. And he's like, I think it does too. And I was like, no, I said, I know for a fact that's her. There's no question in my mind to it. That's her.
Hi, friend. This is Linda, the manager at Denny's. Yes. I've got a little girl here with a tall gentleman, and she looks so much like this.
At Denny's, Shasta identifies the man with her as the one who abducted her and killed her family. The man is Joseph Duncan III, a 42-year-old and level 3 sex offender with a criminal history dating back to his teenage years. The police find a stolen car Joseph had been driving. Inside, they discover a shotgun and video equipment containing recordings of Shasta and Dylan during their captivity. Shasta is safe, but Dylan is missing. With Joseph refusing to speak, the officers turn to the young girl. She bravely recounts the horrific experiences she and Dylan endured over the past 7 weeks. During the investigation, it was discovered that Joseph had been stalking the Groene family prior to the abduction. He had broken into their home, where he committed the murders and abducted Shasta and Dylan.
I remember him telling me that he was able to get the dog to come to him, and he gave her treats and stuff and befriended our pit bull, so that when he did come into the house to do what he was going to do, there was not that type of issue to get in the way.
The jury watched a horrific video recorded by Joseph Duncan III himself, documenting his crimes against the children. This disturbing evidence was crucial in sentencing Joseph to death row. On October 16, 2006, Joseph pleaded guilty to kidnapping and murdering Brenda, Mark, and Slade, receiving 3 life sentences. Later, he faced federal charges for kidnapping, assaulting Shasta and Dylan, and murdering Dylan. These charges resulted in the death penalty. Joseph spent his remaining years on death row in a federal prison in Terre Haute, Indiana, until succumbing to brain cancer in March 2021. His death brought an end to one of the most notorious criminal cases in Idaho's history. Desperate for an escape, Shasta spiraled into drug and alcohol abuse. This path landed her in a correctional facility during her early teenage years. There, she found herself surrounded by other girls who, like her, have struggled with substance abuse. When Shasta was interviewed, she said she feels better and is improving.
I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I think that, I do have, bouts where I go through depression. I have PTSD and bipolar disorder. I have a lot of stuff going on in my life, but emotionally, I'm actually doing pretty good for, the things I have been through and where I could be. So.
After finding love and starting a family, Shasta's life took a positive turn. Though her husband's connection to other victims of Joseph Duncan was a unique twist of fate, it didn't hold her back. Shasta now cherishes the supportive community she's built in the wake of her ordeal.
I know that I lived for a reason, and I know that there's a reason that I'm on this planet still, and that I know that I'm here to help other people. If there's anybody in the world right now that's being abused and they hear that I'm giving up, what would that do for them?
Shasta Groene, though enduring unimaginable horror, emerged as a survivor. She remained positive and went on with her life despite the traumatic experience. Do you think the universe eased Joseph's pain by letting him die of cancer? What can you say for Shasta? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay safe out there.